In today's video, we have all kinds of trade updates leading to the NHL trade deadline. We've got word that teams like Vegas, Edmonton, as well as the Rangers are all bidding on the same forwards and wingers right now, so we'll see where some of these guys end up. Big news on Jacob Markstrom. Comments made to the media suggest he's extremely unhappy with how things have been handled, and a lot new talk around a trade maybe happening after all. Apparently the Devils are still interested. We have some updates on that front. The latest on Noah Hanifin as well, and what his preferred destination might be. Some more updates on the ELC'S Pettersson situation. Apparently his teammates were surprised to hear that progress was made on an extension, which is kind of quite surprising news. Plus, we have lots of other signings today as well, and lots of news from player safety. All that and more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have a variety of news today. Lots of things to get caught up on here. No news from the NHL waivers today, but we do have a few updates from the Department of Player Safety. We had a couple of fines from a recent game here between the Minnesota Wild and the Nashville Predators. Michael McCarron and Matt Zuccarello both fined $2,000 for unsportsmanlike conduct. So obviously things got a little bit out of hand there. They were necessary. I felt it was to issue some fines. Some updates here as well. In case you're wondering, I am on the road. I've been on the road all day, taking off here on vacation. So you're going to be getting lots of different videos from different settings throughout the next week here, so I guess you'll see some surprises on where I may be headed and places that you might see here in the background. For tonight, just in a hotel, nothing too crazy or anything to elaborate on at the time being. Some roster moves around the NHL. The Dallas Stars have sent youngster Logan Stankoven back to the American Hockey League. He had an incredibly hot start to the first few games of his career, scoring a bunch of goals. So certainly the future's bright. I know he'll get another opportunity soon enough, and I'm sure that really more than anything, he's got a bright future. He's a really good looking player. The Dallas Stars have got a lot of good prospects that were not necessarily high picks either. They've grabbed a lot of good talent either late in the first round or second round as well in recent years here. So Stankoven goes back. The Canucks have also sent Archdeep Bains back to the AHL. Again, another player who came up to the NHL. Had a real good showing. I think he really made a great impression on head coach Rick Tocchet. He raved about him playing the right way. I do think he made a great impression and will definitely be back, and I think he's got a future long-term with the Canucks. So good taste to get his feet wet in the NHL. Some moves in Ottawa as well. They did move Josh Norris officially to LTIR today. They recalled forward Zach McEwen. So that gives them another full roster. They may need to do some more recalls again after their game against the Coyotes tonight. They may be dealing with some additional injuries. We'll have to see on that front. Of course, today is March the 1st. March the 1st is the first day where teams are permitted to sign entry-level contracts that kick in next year for 24-25. And we do have a couple of those to discuss here. First one, the Tampa Bay Lightning have signed Rilo Rollins. He gets a 3-year entry-level deal. He's a 21-year-old centerman from the Quebec League, playing for the Acadie Batters Titan. He's 6'6", an undrafted center, putting up over 62 points this year in 59 games. So it's over a point per game. A little bit of a late bloomer. Obviously got a huge frame, 6'6". Well worth taking a chance here. So the Lightning give this undrafted forward an ELC that kicks in next year. We also saw the Washington Capitals sign Zach Funk. He gets a 3-year entry-level contract as well. He's 20 years old, and he's currently the WHL's leading goal scorer with 56 goals. Also has 99 points, having a phenomenal season. But I guess sometimes some of these players, they might not have been drafted. They're a little bit of a late bloomer, at least at that level. We'll see if they can translate that to making the jump to the next level. Pro hockey is a much different beast, and we'll see if they can be successful and translate those opportunities into prolonged careers here. We also have an NHL signing as well for an existing player. The Rangers have extended Connor Mackey. He gets a 2-year, 2-way contract at $775,000. A few other updates around the NHL. Of course, we've had the crazy rumor around ELC'S Pettersson when Elliot Friedman made known here in the last day or so that the Canucks had received a significant trade offer from the Carolina Hurricanes for Pettersson, and were seriously considering it. A few updates that were quite noteworthy on that from the latest podcast with Freeman and Merrick indicate that apparently Pettersson's teammates were quite surprised, or at least some of them were, when they found out that progress had been made on an extension and it looked like he was going to end up staying long-term in Vancouver. So the fact that some of his teammates thought he didn't want to sign, that is quite telling and concerning, I think. I mean, at this point, it seems like he's made the decision to stay, but until pen goes to paper, I guess never say never, but it seems unlikely that something would materialize. But we know the Canucks have been trying to be patient. We know they've been putting offers in front of Pettersson. He hasn't really responded up until recently, and it's believed that the Canucks basically went to him here in the last few days and said, we have a really significant trade offer that we're intrigued by. We'd rather sign you, so you need to tell us. We need to know what your future holds here. Are you wanting to stay and sign in Vancouver? If so, let's get this done. If not, we have to seriously look at this, because this is a considerable deal. Now, we don't know 100% what the deal was. There's talk about it being Natchez, Kotkaniemi. I've heard Brett Pesce's name. I've heard their top prospect involved, first-round picks. Anyways, whatever it was, it made the Canucks go, that's pretty tempting. If we do have to move him because he doesn't want to stay, that's a pretty good offer. And, when things like that happen, obviously they had to go talk to him, and kind of gave them, I think, some leverage to get this deal done. So we'll see. At this point, it sounds like it's going to come together and get done, and hopefully that is soon. It's believed here in the next few days we should have something, but like I said, until it's done, it's not done. Jacob Markstrom and Calgary, that relationship might have just taken a real shift here. Jacob Markstrom spoke to the media today and certainly made it perfectly clear he is not happy one bit, and maybe not really wanting to stick around anymore. We know earlier in this process it was reported that Jacob Markstrom and the Flames were, had some conversations about him waiving his no trade, and he apparently was willing to do so, to go to New Jersey. NHL insiders were saying that it was not his no trade clause that made the deal not happen. He was willing to waive. That it had something to do with salary retention around it, which was the sticky point that made it not be fully agreed to and take place. Now, when Markstrom was asked about everything by the media, he made it clear that he is not happy, and he said he thought things could have been handled a lot better up top, meaning Calgary management. So, new general manager Craig Conroy, not exactly getting some encouraging words there from Markstrom. I mean, things have supposedly changed recently, because there have been reports in the last day or so saying that Calgary has now decided that they're not going to trade Markstrom, and that they wanted to do right by the team, which I was really confused by. I'm like, you've already traded Toffoli before the season started, then you traded Zadorov, you traded Tanev, you traded Lindholm. Hanifin's going here sometime in the next week, because he's made it clear he's not re-signing. What message are you sending exactly? That you hope they win a few more games than maybe they should down the stretch, and instead of being low in the standings, maybe they should be that mushy middle and you get another, crappy pick. I don't understand the direction. I think Craig Conroy's going to make some tough decisions. Now, Pierre LeBrun has reported tonight as well that the Devils have made it clear, and they've reached back out to the Flames. They're still interested here. They still would like to make a Jacob Markstrom trade, and if the Flames want to consider that again, apparently they're now willing to look at it without any salary being retained. I would think that would change things drastically. So we'll see. Markstrom, like I said, he made it clear he was not happy. He said he wasn't happy at all with how it was handled, and could have been handled a lot better by those up top, he said, meaning management. He doesn't want to be there anymore, and after seeing some of his teammates be traded here in the last number of days and weeks, and after how everything was handled on his front, that maybe he's just like, you know what, maybe I don't want to be here. Maybe I don't want to go through this whole retool or whatever they're going to call this reset here in Calgary. So be curious to see, even though we reported that a Markstrom deal might be off the table. After those remarks, you got to think there's still a good chance it could happen. They might feel obligated knowing how he really feels now. Chris Johnson of TSN and the Athletics also reporting that Matt Dumba and the Coyotes will definitely be being a player that is moved. The Coyotes have made a decision that they're definitely going to move him. He linked him to the Toronto Maple Leafs, indicating that, of course, we had heard as well, this is not new information, that Dumba was really close to signing with the Leafs in the offseason. Apparently, it sounds like the Coyotes did offer a bit more money, and apparently he already had a property that he had purchased there as an off-season home. And he said, well, I've already got a place to live there. They're offering more money. And basically, that's how we decided to go there instead of the Leafs. The Leafs definitely need help on the right side. They don't have very many right-shot defensemen that are healthy and productive right now. And obviously, Dumba could be somebody that helps out with that. I mean, he's not a great defenseman, in my opinion. I think he's really regressed in the last few years. But if they shelter him and give him a small role, then maybe. But according to CJ, Dumba is a player of interest for sure of the Leafs. So we'll have to see and follow that situation here a little further as well. Also talking with Noah Hanifin, Elliot Friedman made mention on the podcast today that a lot of people behind the scenes think that Noah Hanifin's preferred destination is not Boston, but Tampa. I know a lot of people suspected that, going back home, so to speak, to the Bruins is a preferred outcome for himself and the Bruins. But now he's saying that Tampa might be his preferred spot. I mean, obviously, there's the whole climate, the warm weather. Everybody seems to love playing down there for that reason. The tax situation's more favorable as well. We know the Lightning and the Panthers have both been really good teams here in recent years as well. So we'll see. I mean, clearly there's still lots of speculation about Boston being in the mix. But at the end of the day, as I mentioned before, teams may not necessarily make a trade if they're not confident they can extend him. Because the asking price is not, small by any means. So we're going to have to follow the situation for Noah Hanifin. There's lots of teams that are interested for sure. But sounds like, according to Friedman, that Tampa might have the inside track where that's kind of where he wants to be. In some Western Conference powerhouses like the Oilers and the Golden Knights apparently are very much all going after the same batch of wingers. Of course, no guarantee that either of them are successful here, but certainly kind of gunning for the same guys. I mean, Jake Gensel in Pittsburgh, Pavel Buchnevich in St. Louis, Vladimir Tarasenko in Ottawa, getting interest from all of these teams, both teams and all players. So we'll certainly see how the bidding war goes. I mean, I think in some cases, Gensel is the preferred target for a lot of teams. Obviously, only one team can make that happen. It's assuming Kyle Dubas and the Penguins do indeed pull the trigger here on a Gensel trade, which we don't know for sure that's going to happen. But indeed, he's a great playoff performer, great resume, and is also looking for an extension to maybe start with a new team if he indeed is moved. So it would give that team an inside track head start to have those early conversations for sure. Tarasenko's a guy that's had a good season in Ottawa for sure, starting to attract a lot of interest. There's other teams too you could throw in there. These are not the only two teams on these players, but it just seems like their goal here is pretty much the same and looking to add a lot of the same type of talent. So don't be surprised if you get a bit of a Western Conference bidding war for those two teams going after the same guys. I mean, some of them may end up on completely different teams here because there's lots of other teams definitely in the mix for sure. But it's going to be interesting here as we head into the final week before the deadline. Lots of interesting rumors floating around. Lots of interesting things are going to happen. So that's all your news and updates here for today. As I mentioned, I've had a long day of driving. I've been on the road for 10 hours, heading on vacation. You're going to get a lot of videos from the road over the next 7-8 days. So stay tuned for that. There's a few that have been pre-recorded as well that I'll be posting in the next few days too. But there still will be lots of updates, especially around the trade deadline and keeping up with all the trades and everything while I'm away. So stay tuned for that. You'll be getting a variety of road videos here over the next week. So if you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you stay around and keep up to date with everything here at Top Shelf Hockey. And we'll catch you next time.